Hey y'all, I'm Pam with 44 Marketplace. And if today's your first visit to my channel, thanks so much for tuning in. I'm glad you're here. Please take a minute to subscribe and click the bell so you'll be notified each time I upload a video. If you like my videos, give me a thumbs up. And keep in mind, I try to put a material list in the comments below each one of the videos. If I missed something, please let me know. Okay, let's get started.
You guys follow me on 44 Marketplace. You know that we went over yesterday what we've done to get this thing all prepped for you. If you don't follow me on 44 Marketplace, please take a minute and follow me and catch up with us. Okay, so, hey Dixie Belle Paint. First, let me tell you thanks for tuning in. If you have a local retailer, tag them in this post because I'd love to know where your closest one is. If you don't have a local retailer, I sell online and try to ship the next day. So if you don't, please look me up. Okay, so what we've already done to this piece is we've already taken all the hardware off, and I always take a Sharpie and label the back of the hardware because hardware fits better if it goes back where it belongs. Second of all, we went ahead and cleaned the entire piece with Dixie Belle's White Lightning because not only does it clean it, it deglosses it as well. Another thing that we did, we took our Dixie mud and we filled in our little areas because a lot of times with these vintage pieces, people have been a little rough with the, drawers going in and out and things like that. And so we went ahead and fixed those. We've already sanded those. And I want to show you guys something. I used my rad pad from SurfPrep to sand it. I got a new apron, one of one of my retailers in my store. It is a Japanese smock apron, so it doesn't even tie. How awesome is that? So, if you guys want one, she makes beautiful things, and they fit so great. Okay, so enough about that. We went ahead and we filled in our little corners. Now, I know I always get the same thing when we talk about prepping these pieces. This piece has a lot of red undertones. So I am going to use something I almost never have to use, and I'm going to use some Boss on this one because I am going to paint the bottom French linen. If you notice, it is upside down. The reason I have it upside down on my lift, which my lift is the bomb diggity, I got to tell you. The reason I have it upside down on my lift is I'm going to sand and stain the top. And one of the greatest things to do is you just tape off that top and you boss it, paint it and everything, and then you're ready to sand and stain the top. So I am going to spray the Boss tonight. A lot of people don't realize how easy it is to spray the Boss. I know a lot of things have been said about sprayers lately, and I've been spraying for 4.5 years. I spray nearly all of my base coats and just about all of my top coats. So I'm going to show you guys how you can spray you some Boss and how quick it can happen. I always get questions about the drawers being closed. I do like to leave my drawers in place when I spray either my paint or my base coats or my top coats because it's just a lot easier than having to tape off all these openings and tape off all the drawers, and I like nice clean lines. I do not spray my hardware on here because I don't like painted hardware unless I opt to paint it. I don't like it painted with the piece. And I will tell you, before these drawers start drying, I always just take me a little screwdriver and open them right up so that they don't dry closed. Now, I will have to go back in and I will have to touch up these edges. So be mindful that, yes, it is a quick spray, but there is a little touch up that you have to do after it dries. Now, this sprayer that we're using tonight is not one of the inexpensive sprayers. It is a $300 sprayer on Amazon. It's an Earlex 5500 spray station. It's actually the sprayer I keep at my workshop here at the store. If you come to my boot camp, you know you've gotten to use it. It's not the Graco that I normally use at my warehouse, so you'll see how quickly it sprays, and I'm going to give you a word of advice. When you're buying a sprayer, buy the nicest one you can afford because it is an investment, especially if it's your business. Okay, that all being said, you notice I do have my mask. If you are aerating anything, if you are doing this, please, if you are going to put anything in the air, your lungs need to be protected. Also, you need ventilation. I'm going to prop this door open so we get a little bit of ventilation in here, but I do want you to know those are very important to remember. All right. In my booth in my warehouse, I already have a ventilation system in place. Okay, another thing I want you to remember, always, always, always not only strain your paint or your boss or your slick stick or whatever it is you're spraying, but strain it. Strain it, stir it, and test the viscosity. You've got to do that every single time. If you don't, you may be an angry mouse later. So I'm just telling you, we're getting all this ready. I have already stirred my product, I've already strained it, and I've already tested the viscosity. I know a lot of you guys like shake, shake, shake. Well, if you're a sprayer, that is not good advice, okay? Always, always, always stir your product. You're going to get a better mix if you do that. Okay, so it's going to be a little loud, so now is the time to turn it down. Yes, you can spray outside, but I do not like to spray outside because then I have to move it back in. I like to spray inside, cut a fan on it, spray it again, and I'm moving on. Okay, also, keep in mind that if you follow me at 44 Marketplace, we were going to work on this some more, but I've got a surprise for you guys, so we're going to have a live right after this on 44 Marketplace. And let me show you something, because I've got a sick dog I've got to get home to. Okay, get ready. It's going to be noisy. People that ask me, why do I spray? There you go. I have now base coated my piece with Boss. I will probably, because of how red this is, throw a fan on it as soon as I get off here, dry it up, and I will put a second coat on it. That way, boom, boom. Tomorrow morning, I'm ready to spray my base coat on this piece. So I know a lot of you guys like to brush, and I say aces to you. This is why I spray, because it's a much faster process. And like I say, these drawers actually fit into the opening, so it's very, very important. Before I put a fan on this to start it drying, I open those drawers slightly. Now you can also spray with your drawers open slightly, but sometimes if you spray just wrong, you'll get overspray into your drawers, and I'm not a big fan of that. So you'll notice that typically I don't always do that. Also, I made sure that I got my legs. If you have your piece, if you're not going to spray your piece upside down, the best thing you can do to get your legs and all that first thing, go ahead and just do it while it's upside down and then do the top side. That way, if you make a boo-boo, you make it on the bottom side and not that top side, that final spray. I guess you noticed that I sprayed clear Boss. I don't know if everybody realizes that Dixie Belle's Boss is to block odors and stains. And on this piece, we're using clear because, not necessarily because I'm going to distress it, but I just like having my options open. So if you guys have questions, please let me know. But like I say, this did have a few little boo-boos on the legs, which I did sand a little bit. It did have a few little boo-boos on the drawers, which we mudded with Dixie Mud, because as you know, I'm a Dixie Belle girl. If Dixie Belle's got it, I'm going to use it. I don't know if you guys can see with the camera view how great the coat went on, but it really went on well, and Dixie Belle's Boss works better than anything shellac, anything that I've tried. I have to be honest with you. It works better than anything that I've tried. If you don't boss, if I had not bossed this, and then after I painted it, I got intermittent bleed through on this piece, the best thing to do, just put some boss on those spots that bled through and do your finish again. You don't have to redo the whole piece. You don't have to boss the whole piece. If you get intermittent bleed through after you've done your piece, the best thing to do is just boss over those areas and do your finish again. You can blend it right in. It's super easy. Just make sure you feather your strokes when you put your paint back on. Or if you're spraying, spray over it. I mean, it's a great thing to do. But it's really an easy thing to do. I know right now Dixie Belle is selling the Wagner sprayers. If you got the money, I say invest in a sprayer because it speeds up your finishes. Not only is it about expediency, it is about a better finish. These sprayers that they have nowadays give you so much smoother a finish than you could ever accomplish with a brush. Now, I'm not going to say that there's not people out there that can't rival it, because when I do my kitchens, I brush everything attached to the wall and spray all the doors and drawers. But when it comes to furniture, especially when you're working with dark colors and things like that, nothing can compare with a sprayer. Sprayers make your top coats easier, they make your base coats easier, and they make your finishes almost flawless. If you notice when you're spraying, you get dots. Those dots are the way that your paint is atomized. And when you atomize your paint and those dots kind of melt together, that's what causes your finish. A lot of people see it when they're spraying it and they think, oh my gosh, there's something wrong with it. When you're spraying, you'll notice the dots. Another question that I get asked often is, how do I keep from having runs? If you have runs, either you are moving your sprayer too slow or you've got too much fluid coming out. So you want to make sure and match your fluid with the amount of fluid coming out with the pace of your sprayer. Another thing to remember, I know you guys have heard this before if you follow me, go past your edges. Don't stop right at the edges, because if you stop at the edges while you're spraying, you're going to get some pooling on those edges. So make sure and go past your edges when you're spraying. Another thing you'll notice that I do to make sure I get good coverage, a lot of times I go vertically and then horizontally, kind of overlap or basket weave my finish, just because I want to make sure I get as good a coverage as possible. Now, that being said, typically I put 2 coats of whatever I'm doing. So in this case, I did Boss, and I'll probably leave the sprayer loaded and put a second coat of Boss on after this dries. And then when I get ready to do my finish, I'm going to do 2 coats of paint. So just an FYI, if you don't want to basket weave your strokes, that's fine, but you are going to get a much better finish, because a lot of the less expensive sprayers, they don't have a very wide swath. So if you're not careful, you'll end up with stripes on your piece when you're spraying. So be mindful of that when you're getting ready to spray, you want to make sure, and what did I tell you? Stir your paint, strain your paint, and what? Test the viscosity. Then when you are spraying, you want to make sure and keep your sprayer moving, because if your sprayer is still, you want to make sure you let off of this trigger. When you're pressing on the trigger, regardless of what kind of sprayer you're using, you have fluid coming out. And a lot of the sprayers, you can adjust the amount of fluid you have coming out by this right here. So be mindful, if you slow down or stop your movement of your hand, don't be pressing on the trigger, because that's when you're going to get runs. Another thing to remember is, don't break your wrist. Keep your arm and your wrist straight and do them like this. If you do like this, then when your gun is facing it, it's closer to your piece than it is when it's like this. It's farther away. You will be able to see a difference in the spray when you're doing it. So I hope that helps. Always, always, always wear a respirator when you are spraying, especially if it's a closed-in space and that kind of thing. Always, if you have sensitive skin, wear gloves. If you want to take care of your clothes, wear an apron. But keep in mind, spraying is, in my opinion, the way to speed up your process, especially if you're working on a large project like a kitchen or something like that. But I'm always around, so if you have questions, I'm Pam at 44 Marketplace, and I appreciate you spending part of your Monday evening with me. If you follow me, head on over to 44 Marketplace because I got a special surprise opening for you guys. See you in a few minutes.